Oh, hey, good to see you. Jason Journeyman here from Online Outdoor School, and happy spring. I love spring. Spring to me means life and rebirth, and it makes me think a little bit of babies. And so my question is, Mommy, where do baby plants come from? Well, they come from flowers, right? And when a plant makes flowers, it's called their inflorescence. And that's your word of the day, inflorescence. We're gonna walk around the neighborhood, we're gonna check out all the inflorescences, and we're not just gonna be like, oh, it's a pretty flower and smells nice. We're going to look at all the cool differences in all the flowers, the different shapes, the different sizes, the different colors, and the different smells. And to start out, we'll just look at the flower that's right here in my driveway. This is a treasure flower. We were just looking at them. It's a zinnia, and it's called a ligulate flower. That's the shape of the type of flower that it is. And you've seen these before. It's like a daisy or like a sunflower. So that's a great place to start. And let's go explore the neighborhood. This flower is called a bottle brush, and the type of flower is called a pom-pom. And that's because it has a bunch of little flowers all over it, like a pom-pom, like a cheerleader has the pom-poms they carry. And if you remember our video about hummingbirds, hummingbirds are the only bird that can hover in one place. And they love this flower because they can hover here and get some nectar, and hover over to this flower and get some nectar, and just move all around it and get all the nectar from it. Now this is a rose. Now you've obviously seen roses before. The type of flower they are is called a rosette. And roses are the most diverse flower species on the planet. There's 150 different individual rose species, and then thousands of hybrid rose plants. So you see them all over the world, and they come from all over the world natively. They just grew there wild on their own. So you see all these different kinds, like here's this rose, or this rose, or this rose. Look at the colors on this thing. We have all these roses right here. We have different colors, different sizes. Roses come in vines on the ground or big bushes, and you can see all their diversity everywhere you are in your neighborhood. Hold up. We know the flowers smell nice and look pretty, but why? Why do they do that? Turns out they have little parts inside the flower that help them reproduce. And we're gonna do a video right after this where I dissect a flower, and you can look at all those little parts, and you can do that at home and do it yourself too. But the key is they need someone to move pollen from one part of the flower to the other in order to make the seed. And who do we know that might help them do that? Obviously bees. We saw bees earlier, but maybe something else? Butterflies can do it. Beetles can help out with that. Birds, even humans, if we're gardening and we brush against it and move pollen from the one flower to another, and that helps the flower make the seeds. And this is what's known as a symbiotic relationship. In the case of the bee, it moves the pollen from one part of the flower to the other. The flower gets to make a seed, the plant gets to reproduce. And the bee, in turn, gets pollen and nectar that it uses to eat and feed its whole colony. And so they both get to live. They both survive using each other, but helping each other out at the same time, which is pretty amazing. Let's go. So this is a hibiscus. It's like the hibiscus tea you might get at a coffee shop. And this is an example of a trumpet flower. Trumpet flowers have that nice big trumpet shape, just like the musical instrument. And the great thing about trumpet flowers is you can see the little parts in there so easily, the little parts that the flower and the plant uses to make seeds and make baby plants, and the little parts that the pollinators go in to get nectar and pollen and help the plant make those seeds. So cool. Now this is a blue elder. It is a native plant to Southern California, and it makes an elderberry later in the season. And elderberries are well known for their immunity boosting powers. But right now this flower is actually a star flower. That's the shape of the flower. You have to zoom in really close to see the 5 points of the star. When you zoom back out, what we normally see is a whole bunch of flowers that create an umbrella look. And that's called an umbel shape of a flower. And those are really popular with butterflies. So you can just imagine a butterfly, a big butterfly like a monarch butterfly, having a whole umbrella of flowers to sit on and a bunch of little flowers to get nectar from and get its food, get its lunch. And it's so beautiful. Have you ever seen a bird of paradise? Now, bird of paradises are really cool, and this flower gets its name from that bird. Now, I kind of want to handle and touch this plant a little bit, but just to be safe, I'm gonna do it with the bird of paradise that I have in my own backyard. So let's go check that out. I don't need this anymore. Come on. So this is one of my birds of paradise in my backyard, and they're really pretty. You can see how it kind of looks like a bird, right? This is the bud of the flower right here, and each one of these sections of orange with purple is one flower. See, we have 3 different ones right here and some older ones back there. Each one is a flower. This comes from South Africa, and it doesn't have a shape category like I've been giving you. It's just a totally unique flower, which is one of the reasons it's so amazing and used so popular around the world. And it's actually the city flower of Los Angeles. This is a sticky monkey flower, and now the shape of this flower is a funnel shape. You can see it has this whole funnel right here. And if you look at the outside edge of it though, it kind of looks like a monkey, like hoo, hoo, hoo. That's how it gets its name. This is native to Southern California, and it grows wild all over the hills. And it's another one that hummingbirds love because it's long and they can stick their beak in there to get the nectar. And since it's my flower, I can pick one out and show you some of the parts inside. Look at that. Ooh. Ooh. Very sticky. This is a globe mallow, and it's similar in shape to the California poppy we saw earlier, or even the baby blue eyes that we saw. And if you look really closely, they have a bunch of petals, kind of like the zinnia, which was the lingular shape, but this is different. It forms a little cup. This is called a saucer-shaped flower. And it does that to create a safe space for pollinators to come in there and pollinate the flower. And that could be bees, or like this example, this is a fake bee that we call a hoverfly. Looks kind of like a bee, but it's a little bit different. And these are all native plants, the poppy, the blue eyes, and this mallow. And we want to make sure to be really nice to those native plants and those native flowers as we bring in all these other things to compete with them. So when you go out to see wildflowers and you see this or poppies, just make sure not to pick them or to trample them, to step on them, because we want to create a safe space for them to continue growing and keep coming back every year. So we saw 8 different types of flowers on the walk today. We saw a lingulate, a star, pom-pom, rosette, saucer, funnel, and a trumpet. And then we saw a bird of paradise, which is just totally unique and doesn't have a shape name. So your activity, what I want you to do on your next neighborhood walk, is to go around and look for an example of each one of these types of flowers. Now, I'm gonna put in the description of the video a link to an activity sheet that you can download and print out that shows you each one of those 8 names. And you can go around your neighborhood looking for them. And you can also use the iNaturalist app. I have a video for that as well, how to use that to help you identify those different plants that you can use to help fill out your activity sheet. So let's go explore your neighborhood together.